The second round, the topic will be property rights for women in the context of Nagaland motion.
A very good afternoon to everyone once again. My respect to the panel of judges, my worthy opponents, my team, and all the witnesses present here. I am Kay Chinchun once again from Dimapur Government College, standing for motion on the topic, property rights for women in the context of Nagaland. The religion says everyone is equal in the eyes of God. The law says everyone is equality before the law. Then why are we even arguing that property rights should be given either to a woman or a man? The topic, property rights for women in the context of Nagaland, is already giving us a glimpse that men are superior and women are inferior, and they are in a dilemma whether women should be given property rights. My dear opponents, if you are here to state an argument that property rights should not be given to a woman because they are women, then I should say we are very sorry, but we cannot change the fact that we are born and gifted in that way. And I'm sure if it was not for a woman, you will not be here standing stating that property rights should be denied to women. And next. Why we are making so much complicated when it is very simple, knowing the fact that you are not going to take a pinch of salt or a drop of water when you are going back, right? So, property rights. I personally standing here, taking this platform, I would like to convey this message to my narrow-minded society that if you are working hard for something, if you have put your effort and sweat for something, you deserve a right to property. And that doesn't matter whether you are a man, a woman, or a transgender. So in my closing statement, I would like to say that property rights should be given to not only women, but to all human beings. Thank you.
My name is Kevin. I proudly represent Livingstone Foundation International College, and I stand here against the motion. From our ancestors, to our father, grandfather, and to the sons, we have been following the tradition of giving the land to a male child in the family. Because for a female child, she would get married into another tribe. After giving the land, the tribe particularly belongs to her husband. So we as Naga, we believe our identity is our land. Our ancestrals, our grandfathers are buried in that land. So how can we forsake our ancestral, our grandfather who are buried there, to give it to another tribe because of the female child in the family wants the land. So I strongly oppose to that topic that in context of Nagaland, woman or a girl child shouldn't be given the land. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Gerald, standing with pride once again supporting the statement that property rights for women should be given in the context of Nagaland. Women, be a daughter, wife, or mom, working same as men in the context of agriculture. When we see it in the market, they're selling vegetables. When it comes to education process, the male child are being educated. The knowledge are being gained, are being given by the female, most of the teachers, and return of that, women doesn't deserve property right. That is such a negative concept. I have to disagree with the fact with that I will say that yes, women in Nagaland deserve to inherit property rights, same as the male members. In a family where there is no male child, who will take the property? We are neglecting a daughter, and the property is being given to the nearest of the family, to the closest family. Why is it so? The daughter and male has born in the same family, and if there is no son, the property has been given to the close family member. Is that so? Is that equality? We talk about justice. We talk about equality. It's that about equality. Every religion doesn't discriminate anyone, and we in the family members itself, we are discriminating our moms, our parents, the woman child. Why is it so? They deserve to inherit property rights, and it doesn't define. There is no conception that women are born. There is a misunderstanding that women are born and they will just get married and they will go to their husband's house. Why is that so? Why are underestimating women? They are no weaker. Just because they are physically weaker, it doesn't mean that they doesn't deserve property. They deserve property. And also, what if the woman has been divorced? What will be the consequence of the woman and her child? Who will take the responsibility? We have seen many cases, many women are being divorced, they are being neglected from the family members just because they are married and they doesn't belong to that family. Then that's a very wrong conception. I strongly affirm that yes, women in Nagaland deserve property. When Nagaland comes under India, in India, many districts like Maharashtra, Punjab, when they provide property rights to women, then why are we stopping in Nagaland? So, to conclude my statement, I firmly say that yes, women in Nagaland do deserve property rights. Thank you.
With regards to the context of property for women in Nagaland, we cannot compare the other states of Nagaland because we are protected under Article 371A. And although differing tribes have different customary laws, every woman, Naga woman, has the right to inherit property, private property that is. There are two types of property, ancestral property and private property. A woman can use her own private property for residential or commercial purposes. There is no law restricting that. But the ancestral property, that is the land, the community land, the village land, which belongs to that particular tribe. Example, a Naga woman gets married to another tribe. If she inherits an ancestral property, she would inherit the village land. And the village land would diminish from time to time. And lastly, that village would cease to exist. So our fathers, since time immemorial, knowing that to safeguard us from our land, they put up these laws. And who are we to change these laws? We should preserve our culture and our tradition. See, there is no inequality of men and women in Nagaland according to research. There is no bias. Every woman is given equal opportunity except in the context of property. Why? Because we need to safeguard our land, our tribe, and to preserve our culture. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to you all, and congratulations to all my mates and also my opponents for making it to the final round. Well, today I stand here once again in favor of the motion. Well, first of all, to be very clear, we're living in a democratic country. We're living in a 21st century where men and women are going neck to neck, knee to knee. No woman should be disregarded by not giving them the right of property, because taking the recent example of the first Konyak woman who was elected in the Rajya Sabha, it clearly proves our word that women are capable of defending the traditions. Women are capable of preserving them and nurturing them as well. How can we call Nagas united when we are bringing tribalism in this topic? Nagas, we are united as one. Nagaland for Christ, we say that. Well, this might be off the topic, but why I feel like Nagaland should not, the opponent should not bring tribalism in these things, that we always said that Nagas are united as one, and we should not support tribalism here. First thing first, and then living in a democratic country, living in the 21st era, women are given the best out of best. They have the knowledge, they have the capability to do far more better than men. And me standing here today is an example of women doing better than men in all the except if they are given the proper opportunity and given the proper conditions to develop ourselves. So once again, without taking much time, I strongly believe that women should be given the right to inherit property, because women and men are both equal in all the excepts. Though biologically we might be different, but women has the same capability as men. Thank you.
Here, I am Analigati Zimomi from Panab Ananda Women's College, and I stand here again in front of you to speak against the topic property rights for women in context of Nagaland. Property rights has always been a very touchy subject in Nagaland. In here, like my teammate has said, we are not talking about discrimination. It is not about discrimination. It's about the ancestral land that our forefathers has entrusted to us. As stated by a Naga activist, our forefathers were buried in our ancestral lands. They grew and made homes for us there. So it is our responsibility to take care of it and pass down to male heirs, who in the future will marry but they are not obliged to give land to the girls. As for girls, we cannot inherit lands because we have intermarriages. I am a Sumi. I might marry a Lota in the future. But if I inherit a land, I will have to give up my land to my husband in the future, which will cause feuds in the future. If there are land feuds, it will be because of me. And also, it was believed in the past that the bigger the village, the stronger the village. So I would like to conclude my speech by saying that women are not discriminated, but land is important as Naga rights for the males. Thank you.
A gentle reminder to all my dear fellow friends and to all my dear worthy opponents. Just because it is a tradition doesn't mean that we should follow it blindly. Just because it is a tradition doesn't mean that we should follow it blindly. We are in a technological world, we are in a modern world. Let's go back and trace back to our ancestors. They were headhunters. They were cutting down the heads, they were chopping the heads of others just because they want to increase the prestige. But that era has been long gone. That is how we modernize. Tradition means every generation that comes up, we should be adapted, we should adapt towards it. We should not just stick back to the old tradition just because it is sacred, just because it is customary laws. Article 371A of the Indian Constitution given to the Nagas says that no act of the parliament should interfere in the customary procedures and traditional procedures of the Nagas. We are just protecting these evils. We the Nagas itself are protecting these evils. Why can't women inherit property? Why there should be an inferior, superior qualities between a man and a woman? Just because of the sexual division of labor, just because a man is much more masculine doesn't mean that a woman cannot inherit the property. I'll give you an example of the Sumi practices. That is, even if there is only one male boy in a family, and even if there is 5 girls in a family, a boy will inherit the property. He will inherit his father's house, and the girl will be sent back, and the girl will be married off to another family where she will get the husband's property. That is unequal. And let's say a boy from Kifri district, the only son from Kif district comes and settles in Dimapur. He doesn't have any access to his property because he's staying here and he doesn't have any use to it. And the girls are staying in his own hometown. Even if that is the case, the man, he will have control over the property, while the woman who is poor or who is suffering financially will just look at his father's property and will act because he doesn't have the right to inherit the property. So I would like to conclude my statement by saying that a tradition can be modified with the coming generation. Just because a tradition is held sacred doesn't mean that we should follow it blindly. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. For the second round, I am standing against the debate topic, property rights for women in the context of Nagaland. I don't think women need a particular provision or particular property right to do better. Women are still doing better, they are still progressing, they are still doing it anyway. And when you say a man may be the head of the house, but a woman is always the neck and he cannot go alone. So I don't think women need to really fight for properties here. Our focus should really be on producing quality women, not, materialistic women, I believe. And how can you be so sure that women not getting property is illegal? Because if you see the 16th Framework Agreement in 1970, the Constitution of India provides assurance that they will not interfere in the customary laws of the Nagas. And as stated, the customary laws of Nagas, they stands on a patriarchal society where man is the head and woman is his neck. No man can go forward without women, and no women can go forward man. It's not against feminism or it's not against anything. It's about going hand in hand. And I believe women, we don't require a legal right to feel superior in the family. If you're rebel, you stand for yourself, and that's more than enough. You don't really need a legal right, right? And I am a woman. I am the only daughter of my father, and I'm not assured of any property, and that does not even matter because I'm here to create my own. Yeah? That's what I believe. And also, what do you assure that if women are given the legal right, the state will get better? Because it's not about you and me alone here. It's about the state. It's about the country. If you and I cannot impact it for betterment, I don't think it's even necessary, right? So if you compare Mizoram, their women are heads. Their women are the head of the property. But have you checked the crime rates there? Nagaland is more safer without getting a property also. And I don't think we really need it. So it's not about fighting for legal property rights or talking about tribalism here. It's about producing independent women. It's about making women accessible to what and who she is and making a world a better place for both men and women. Thank you.
When we look at the rainbow, we can say that 7 different colors make a perfect rainbow. So when we deny women in taking up their own property, our society looks like a rainbow that is made of incomplete colors. So I believe it is a very high time that we need to lead the women to have their own property rights. Traditionally, when we think our grandparents, they believe in male inheritance, where the women are completely denied. But today, we are living in the 21st century. So we need to come out of this orthodox zone and start living and giving rights for the women to have their own property rights. In this present scenario, my heart pins to see lots of aunties killing their own daughters and searching for the rent as they are being chased out by the male inheritance in the death of her husband. And lots of aunties are living in such a small hut in the corner just because of they have been rejected and denied for the property because of the loss of a husband. So I believe it is a very serious issue that we need to think about. Women are also human like a man, so we need to treat them equally like a man and let them have their own property rights. I know my uncle and my auntie, my father's eldest brother, he bought the land and Signal Angami and had a building out there. They don't have a male inheritance. And every one of them are saying that will be belongs to me and my brother. But for me, I don't care much of it because that particular land bought by her wife and him together from their own salary. That is not given by my grandparents. So I believe in those kind of things we should not go ahead and then grab those property which is their women's, which they have the right to own their own property. And along with that, I would love to say that we have this acquired property and inherited property. So today, in this present scenario, we should make this acquired and inherited property as one and lead the women to celebrate the womanhood by having the right to own the land. So I just would love to challenge each and every one of us here today that we're living in a very modern society where we really need to be civilized. We need to come out of the orthodox zone. Let's stop being hijacked by the wrong notions of being believing by the male inheritance only. Women are also human. They also have 2 eyes, also in the same physical structure like a man. So let them have their own rights. Let them celebrate the womanhood. So once we start supporting the women and having them the right, make sure that we are supporting half populations of the women. So I believe it is a high time to let the women celebrate their own property rights. Thank you so much.
I will be against motion on property rights should not be given to the girls. My perspective towards property rights for the girls is totally against. Though I am a girl, I have right to education. I should be well educated, independent, and not depend only on the property which I am never going to get from my parents. As a Naga, living in a Naga society, our ancestors, they have been practicing patriarchal system of family, which is still practicing even today. And then, as a Naga, I have never seen any particular Naga tribes given property to a girl child. Let me take an example of Bill Gates. As we all know that he is one of the richest men, though he is rich, he is not giving property to his daughter. This shows that girls, they don't have rights in property. And then in the article 371 part A, there it is clearly written that any parliament that should not be applied in the state of Nagaland in the social and land revenue. So the girls, they don't deserve to get property. Though I am a girl, I am totally against the property rights. And then
particularly from a Konyak tribe, they are given only a basket and a dowry to a girl child, not a property. Thank you.
Right. So my question to my opponent is, how can you compare a matriarchal society and patriarchal society, stating that women leading by a woman have more crime rates is not relevant to this topic? Yes. And next, I don't think it is very important to state a law, a fact, or a figure to say that women need property rights, because it is simply stating that we need to modernize living in 21st century. It is a traditional thing which was practiced in the past, and it is not necessary that it should be carried in the present. And yes, why headhunting was abolished? Because it is not relevant in this area. And yes, now property rights. Everyone has the right to own property. Like I have said in my first statement, if you have worked hard for it, if you have put your labor in it, it doesn't matter whether you are a man or a woman, you deserve your own property. And yes, property rights should be given to everyone. Thank you.
Some traditions and norms are yet to forsake, but some we need to carry on as our ancestor passes on. With the coming of time, some has gone, like the headhunting, but right to property should stay. And why? See, we're not talking about being feminist or girls are not equal. We're not talking about that. We're talking about right to property. When we talk about that, if you think that you're equal to men, then work like our grandfathers did, our ancestors did, and go get your own land. Secondly speaking, not trying to hurt your sentiment, but wherever your uncle bought land with your auntie, they went together and bought. But in the future, you'll realize that your uncle gave it to the son, not to the daughter. So that's one thing, that we're not sharing our land with. When you talk about tribalism, we're not against tribalism or we're not creating tribalism, but we're sharing the land to the man because we want the land to be between our ancestral blood, not to other tribe, because our grandfathers are being buried there, our grandfathers have worked there, not the other tribe's grandfather. Thank you.
As my opponent mentioned that women are not dependent, well and fine. But that dependency we're not comprising here. We're talking about poverty rights, and under poverty there comes child, man and a female. And then there comes discrimination, my dear opponent, which you are saying discrimination doesn't come. When a property has been given to a male child, despite being not given to a girl child, discrimination occurs there, unequal occurs there, everything occurs there. And we being Nagaland being in India, we study various fundamental rights, fundamental duties. Whatever constitution has been written there, it's the constitution written just for printed words? No, it has been written to follow that procedure in our daily life, and thus which proclaims that property should not only be inherited by male but should also be possessed by female in every of the spells, not only in India but also in the state of Nagaland. Now secondly, women should also deserve property rights, not because of dependency or anything or independent like that, because they have the full rights. They are being born, brothers and sisters are being born in the same house. So that is what the blood related is, and that should not be discriminated, which clearly clarifies discriminations and unequal. Thus, I will conclude my statement that yes, women should deserve property rights.
Before I begin my statement, let me make this clear. Women are given property rights in Nagaland. They are given every right to own a land. But the subject on which we are talking about is on ancestral land. This is not about modernization or culture change. This is about laws which were set by our ancestors in stone. I'll give you an example. I belong to Kashto village. Example, in my village, there are 3 girls and 1 boy. If women were given the rights to own the property within the village, then those 3 girls got married into another clan, another tribe, or another nationality, they would own half of the village of the land. And that man, he would be left with a small portion of the land. So what they are advocating for, what they are propagating, they are advocating that we give the property rights to women who, after they get married, will inherit the surname of the male. So in that way, if this system is applied, we will become strangers in our own land. We would not have a place to call our own. These are things which our ancestors have done. So there is no question of whether a woman should have property rights or not, or about discrimination, because this is about basic logic. So with this, I close my statement.
Time. First of all, we are not talking about legality here. We're talking about equality when it comes to women's rights. Secondly, Nagas have been known to be headhunters for many generations. Until today, Nagas are being identified as headhunters. It is a very important turning point in our life because Nagas, from the very past history, we have been headhunters. And if that kind of practice can be modified, so why not legal inheritance to the female can be modified as well? And also, talking about modernization, we're living in the 21st century, my dear opponents. Everything, there is a time for everything. There is time for modification. There is time for change. And I strongly believe that even in Nagaland, it's the high time to give the women what they deserve. We're not only talking about ancestral properties, but also about properties regarding anything. It's not only about land, but the properties that women deserve. So I want to state that it's not about only the land, but it's also about giving the woman the right to be in the same level as man. Thank you.
I would like to say that traditions are the roots of a person, and modernization shouldn't change that. As a woman though, I would like to say strength comes from within and not from property. Why fight for ancestral land or your father's property when you can get rich and buy a bigger one? Right to education, right to speech, so many rights are provided to us. Women definitely don't need land to rise above in society. Thank you.
Some of our fellow opponents, they talk about ancestral land. So what if your grandparents, they sold that ancestral land to a woman who is wealthy? Do you have the right to take it back from her? That is the question. And looking into this scenario, there are lots of young couples comes together, but still then, man is unemployed, but where the woman is employed. Where the woman is the one who is looking after the man in the family. Where everything, the property in the house are being bought by the women out of women's earning. So in that case, any one of the men can go and take back the property from her? This is the very question again. And along with that, today when you see, even in car, in terms of car, we will see women driving and men sitting together with the women. In that case, women is the one who owns the car. So in case if the husband died, do anyone have the car to pick away that car from that man? That is the question. So today, I just would love to tell to you all that instead of being a victim always, sometimes we should rather instead to be a vector by liberating ourselves from all the things that is not healthy and should allow the women to celebrate to have the property right. And my fellow opponent, let me tell you, if you still want to learn about the women's property right, go and watch the movie that calls The Monk in Owl, produced by Dimapur, our Baptist Ayoko Youth Ministry. Even if you don't understand our language, you just go to the subtitle, you'll learn so many things about the property right. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much to the opponent who suggested a movie. Definitely watching. But if I did not know what is going around, I wouldn't be here standing debating with you, first and foremost. When you talk about ancestral properties, why is it given to man? I agree on what my group said, that we are not deprived of every property rights. We can own a land. You can go buy mega crore, billionaire house. Nobody's going to come and tell you. And if your parents gave you the property, nobody in the world has the right to come and steal it from you. That's yours. But when it comes to ancestrals, why man? I think me being myself a woman saying this is like challenging to myself. But why is it my brother getting the ancestral land and not me? It's because I'm going to get married. I'm going to get married. I'm going to meet the neck of my husband. I'm going to go take care of that land. And if I go taking off the land that my ancestors has given me, I have a responsibility here. And what about the moral values that a wife needs to do? So I believe I would choose my husband. If a woman is given a right, a hereditary right, obviously the family and the relatives will expect the women to marry. I am a Lotha, so my grandparents' land is given to me. My parents will never expect me to go marry an Ao or a Sema. They will expect me to marry a Lotha because Lothas will know better about that thing. So what about the right to freedom of expression and choices? Where does it go? So definitely that is something we need to think about, right? And as said before, we don't need a legal right to have our own property. Modernization includes education. Modernization includes, opportunities for women where we can stand, build an empire, and rule it. Thank you.
Our worldly opponent here say that they have legality to inherit the property. So if that's the case, we won't be standing here on a stage debating on this topic. That is our first point. So my worldly opponent here mentioned that if women and men both inherit the property, then there will be no plot of land left for the generation. Blindly defying that there should be no equality. Blindly saying that. Morally, the women and men, as a child, born in the family, they have both 23 chromosomes each. There is no inequality among both male and the female. There are 23 chromosomes in each man and the woman. So, and my third topic is, this idea of women's inferiority starts with the ancestral property inheritance. A woman is expected in the olden days, even to the present era in rural areas, the women are expected to stay inside, confined inside the kitchen, to listen to the voice of a man, and the man becomes the voice of the family, the voice of the society. Why? Just because the woman does not have property, he does not have the right to speak in front of a man. These are some of the inequalities that we see even in today's present society. And if we talk about upholding the traditions of our ancestors, these ancestral lands, why don't we just follow the traditions of our hospitality, the sharing of necklaces, these are quite good, and then our Nagas hospitality as well as our food cultures. Why don't we celebrate this, but why don't we get rid of these evils instead of staying inside the shell and trying to protect the man's freedom of taking the property? Thank you.
Now, before telling anything to my opinion, for example, if I get married to another man from another community or village, and if my parents give me a property, my husband and his parents have to stay in my village, and then this is how a land from my village will be reducing, and then property growth will be going on, and thus it is leading to reduce the particular length of my village, and the villages will be engulfed. Now, I would like to say to my opinion that they said that not giving right to a cruel property, not giving property rights to a cruel child is a discrimination. No, it is not a discrimination. They are given a right to education. This is how they can make use of their rights. They can work hard for their future with a firm determination, and she can be independent. And then, as we all believe that men, they are more superior than a women, because we all know that they can handle every situation, they can handle every responsibilities. So men are superior. So this is why girls are not given property rights.
For the last time, I will be standing here in favor of property rights for women in the context of Nagaland. And I am standing here not only as in support or in favor of this topic. Today I'm standing here as a voice for women in general, for the Nagas. The opponent says that just because, with the point of view that they are saying that just because you're being born as a man, you're given the land. And you're telling us, we females, to go and get ourselves a land because that is not our right to inherit. What does that even make sense? Just because you're a male, you're given the land. But we females, we are not forced, but we are demanded to work for ourselves and get ourselves a land. How foolish of you. Because in this, as I have mentioned earlier, because we are women living in a 21st generation, you say right to education, right to equality. Men and women, both of them are given right to education, right to equality. So why not the right to inherit the land? Therefore, I want my opponents to clearly clean yourself of the orthodox thinking of saying that only man should be given the land, because as I said earlier, a Naga woman is being represented in the Rajya Sabha. There are IAS officers, women who are being the voice for the women. So why not, in the case of land, why not we Naga women inheriting it? Because as far as man can do it, we females can also do it and prove our worth. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So fun to be an opponent of my own college. My partners, they reminded me that please remind them that if we are foolish, we won't be in the top 5. So we are not saying, none of in our statement we say that only men should be given property. We did not say that. I'm sorry. You need to be very, have that presence of mind when you hear it. We say that women can do better. So they don't need a legal certificate to let them, go it. Pangil Konyak, who is a representation to the Lok Sabha from Nagaland or Rajya Sabha from Nagaland, I mean, she had the opportunity, she had education, she had modernization, and that is what she used to stand for herself. I don't think a sheet of, legal property right made her stand there. I believe so. And yes, definitely, personally, we are not here to, create a new topic for feminism in Nagaland. Nagaland has enough of problems. Don't give a hope to fight for land again, please. There's enough. Instead of that, let's use what we have to make Nagaland a better place. Because you and I are the future of tomorrow. I'm here to remind the audience that you and I are the future of tomorrow. If we sit down and start fighting for every little things in Nagaland, we won't go further. We will end up in Zugu Valley as one of the best places in Nagaland. We won't be able to make further provisions if we do that, yeah? And also a reminder that, we can do this together, yeah? Let's not fight, let's not have a problem that a girl needs to get the property, a man needs the property, because traditions and tribes differ from each other. A lot of tribes, even Sumis, they give women a land in their wedding. So I don't think there is a problem, because it differs from parents to parents, it differs from traditions to traditions. And if ever in my life I get an opportunity to be a mother, I will definitely give my daughter one. So it depends on you. Stop making another controversy for Nagaland to start up a war. Thank you.